So, hello, we're live now and I'm recording. Hello everybody. Welcome to PsychOut, where the psych is in. What's up? I am an actual therapist. My name is Alex. I'm an actual human on the actual internet, and I'm here to answer your actual questions. This week, I am joined by Casey. Hello. How are you
Hello.
doing?
Thank you for having me. Oh, fantastic. Always. It's great
Love
to
to hear
join
that.
you. Yeah.
This week's topic is stress and anxiety. Casey, how do you feel about stress and anxiety? How do those things make you feel?
Oh, stressed. I was listening to your stream last week and you were talking about like making sure to name the emotion but not let it be you. So I'm
hmm
I'm trying to work on that. I'm not an anxious person. I have anxiety at times. That's, give myself a little leeway. It's okay.
It's okay. Uh, Anxiety and stress, very similar things. There's a reason that there's different words for those things, though. So stress is the natural biological component uh, to to this feeling. So stress happens when something you can't predict the thing that's about to happen. You feel like you're underprepared and you're not sure how to do something, and it can create a kind of a cascading effect really fast. There's this thing called allostatic load. It's a very fancy term for being stressed all the time. If you, I'm gonna take a little step back first. We are supposed to feel anxiety. We are supposed to feel stressed. These are natural biological things that are normal for everybody. If you not just normal for us, but also normal for all animals. All animals feel stress and anxiety. Uh, we just happen to build ourselves a world where it never ends. We are supposed to, like, we're just going along, and then an animal pops out of nowhere, and then we're like, oh God, and then our heart rate goes up, our palms begin to sweat, our eyes dilate, our veins dilate, and we're able to run very, very quickly for quite a while, and then it goes away. And now we've escaped, and now we can decompress and move on with things. And that is kind of the natural state of the animal world, and it was our natural state before we started building other things. So that kind of stress is supposed to happen. We're supposed to go from this green zone of stress of being totally calm, relaxed. There's some things that you need to get to, but you already know how to do those things, so you'll get to them in the day. But uh, and then the red zone is when something jumps out from behind you and you're like ah, and then you decompress because you realize it's your friend fucking with you, and that's totally fine. But it goes into this kind of pink zone that is, well, everything's going fine and I feel okay. But like there's all this stuff that I have to get done today and I have no idea how I'm going to do it, and shit keeps changing, and oh man, my boss just called me and I don't want to go into work. I have to do stuff at my house. I still have to put all this stuff away, and it's that slow lingering stress that's in the back of your mind that creates this thing called allostatic load. It's the wear and tear of your brain. Not fun. Casey, I see you nodding your head.
Yes. I'm trying to tell myself just as you're going through all of this, I'm like, that's so much. And I need to be like, okay, I'm safe right now. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really difficult to convince your mind, and your brain that no, I am okay. I can deal with this stuff. Especially when
Yeah.
everything inside of your brain, you go into your hypothalamus, it's releasing hormones into your pituitary and your amygdala, activating your flight and flight responses. And so a lot of the stress, like a lot of the time when we think of stress, we think of the freeze response. So you're so incredibly overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, and now your body's just like, like it shuts down, it freezes you up, but your heart is still racing. So you drink coffee and then you're exhausted, and you're like, oh, my body's just filled with anxiety now. And I don't know what to do with this. Yeah, yeah, it feels gross and it's awful, and we
Why,
all hate it.
why must you call me out like
Yeah,
this?
I know, right? I'm
Sipping
pretty
on my
sure.
coffee.
I am pretty sure that everyone here probably feels a little bit called out right now. Let's see. Can I outline two parts? The distinction of effect on stress and cultivated in our own body, outside causes and reactions. Okay, yes. So, yes, Kyle. Great. Yes, that. So, uh, stress that cultivates inside of your body. If we're going like biological mechanisms, that would be like uh, your adrenal glands are only supposed to fire for short bursts. They are not supposed to stay on all the time. Uh, the accumulation of that in your body can so when we go into a fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, our GI tract begins to shut down. Like it's like, hey, you're in a really bad place right now. We don't need to digest food. We need to get the fuck out of here. So we end up seeing a lot of like GI issues when people are stressed for long periods of time because you're still having that slight anxiety response. So that's one thing that can happen for that. Also, you're doing biological reactions that otherwise you wouldn't really have to. So you are just generally going to feel more tired. I hate you're going to feel more stressed out because you're stressed out. So that's not good. I'm anxious about becoming anxious. I'm stressed about being stressed. These are very common things that people feel. Um, so stress and anxiety they are preparatory mechanisms. We feel anxious when we see somebody else climbing a mountain or see somebody else uh, diving into a cave. I don't know why anybody would do that. That's crazy. But my hands start sweating, my heart starts racing. I'm focusing on everything that they're doing, and I kind of can't pull my head away because my brain is trying to understand what they're doing because it thinks that I'm about to do that also. It's getting me ready to do that stuff. Gotta pump your body full of blood, gotta raise your heart rate so that you can focus as hard as we can on what we are about to do. So stress is uh, it's supposed to be what happens when we're about to do something. It is by necessity a reaction to the world around us. Anxiety, like generalized anxiety disorder, is kind of mind dependent. It is these things are going to happen in the future, and I have to be ready for X, Y, like I have to be ready for A, B, C, D all the way to X, Y, Z. I don't have power to control the future. You know, I am only human. So I cannot control I can't control what's going to happen. I am powerless for the me that exists in 2 weeks. So I'm going to create all of these plans within plans, in order to make myself feel like I can control what is definitely going to happen. All 26 different things that could happen, all of them are going to happen. So I have to be ready for all of those. And that's what by doing that over and over and having that become habitual and making that planning be where you're getting your power from, that's where you can kind of create a coping mechanism that is anxiety.
Interesting.
It is not a coping
That makes me
skill, it
think
is a
of
coping mechanism.
yeah. It makes me think of some research I saw with the military, how they've started to incorporate video games, virtual reality to help prepare. But that makes sense that you're actually engaging in an action and training your brain to be like, okay, I know how I will react when this comes up in the moment. And it's less about like, this is in the future. Like, no, they're trying to simulate you being in that moment, right?
Yes, exactly. And so that way, instead of having this like nebulous idea of what could potentially happen in some future event, you have an actual, like, oh, so this is what it is going to look like. Now, you're still going to create all of these like random strings that might happen, but they're all going to be related to that frame. It'll be a lot easier for your brain to deal with three potential outcomes instead of 500 potential outcomes. Uh, I think
Mm.
of horror movies when I say stuff like this because it's like if you never show the audience the monster, then we start just making up all kinds of wild stuff. And it becomes more and more and more horrifying as the movie progresses because we don't know what we're fighting. It's just this nebulous thing, and people keep dying. And how am I supposed to fight something that I can't see? And it just becomes scary. That's why was it the Blair Witch Project did so well. They never showed the witch.
Yeah.
But the second that you show a monster, no matter how large it is, Godzilla, we're like, oh, that's a thing. I can deal with things. That's a physical object. I too am that thing.
Hmm.
So, as they say in Predator, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Hmm. It makes me think of the research with COVID too, where if we
Mm-hmm.
framed it like this is a virus or a bacteria, I forget which virus, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, virus.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have like a mental representation of what that is that you're fighting against, that helps people to work with it and be they were I think people were more likely if they viewed that as like the common enemy
Yes.
to they were more open to protective measures and making sure they were wearing masks, stuff like that. But
Exactly.
without that, I think that kind of goes into our us versus them nature too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to kind of dissect in there.
Oh, absolutely. You tell somebody that there's a problem, but they can't see the problem. Like it's not a person,
Mm.
it's not a thing that like, oh, there's an enemy, and if we destroy them, we win. It is this kind of
Yeah.
concept that like they don't understand. They don't have like the scientific literacy to understand what is actually going on here, so that makes them more afraid. So essentially, I'm saying that there's ghosts inside of you, and we need to get them out. And people are
Mm.
like, "Wait, ghosts?" Like, no, it's a virus, and they're like, "Ghosts?" Because they don't understand virology. They don't understand what a virus
Mm.
is, and they're like, the animalistic part of our brain is like, okay, uh, it has to be an enemy. It must be something like that. So I have to be, oh no, it's not. And it becomes infinitely scared. They go full into a flight response because you can't fight it. And so your ears turn off so because you don't want to listen to people. That's not necessary right now. We're running away. We don't need to hear things. We don't need to eat. We don't need to do anything else. We just need to run as fast as possible. And people have been stuck in that
Mm.
for a very long time. So, Kyle, yes, stress should be short term. Anxiety is persistent. Stress can be long term. The allostatic load is when stress becomes long term. We see people building and building and building until they break. And then they build and build and build and build until you break again. And that keeps happening with stress. Stress was originally just a engineering term for material sciences, and it was all about like how much can something bend before it breaks. That was stress,
Yeah.
and the person who and then a psychologist took that and was like, that's a really good word for how it feels to be feeling like I'm going crazy sometimes. To feel like this weight, just like this non-existent weight, feels like it keeps getting added to me, and at some point, I just break. And while some stress is good, you want to exercise. That puts stress on your bones and your muscles, and that helps you grow. You're going to endure a little bit of stress if you're like doing like public speaking and things, but you're going to grow from that. You're going to learn from that. But if you keep applying stress that you can't handle, that you can't deal with, that is unexpected, sometimes unknowable, and ever changing, how are you supposed to deal with that? So it will just keep adding, 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 and eventually, if you add too much weight to something, it does break, like bones, and your stress will break eventually. And there are horrible mental health and physical health ramifications to stress breaking a person. Decreased immune system response, blood pressure increases, lots of GI problems. We used to think ulcers were this, but we're currently, the medical professions, I think, currently thinks that ulcers are caused by a stress along with a particular kind of bacteria.
Mhm.
Yep, messes up your sleep. Yes, mindfulness is fantastic. It can help you, but you got to be able to convince yourself that mindfulness will help you. If your brain doesn't believe that, then it's not going to try to do that. Yep, catastrophic thinking. So, how do you cope with stress, Casey?
Uh, I've been working on that a lot. I mean, I'm in therapy,
Uh
so
huh.
that helps.
Okay.
Being able to talk about it, I think that's a big thing for me, talking about things after the fact and kind of processing what has happened and validating that that stress was there. I think for a lot of people, you had me thinking about the people that will deny that they're stressed. And that's just going to add to it. If you deny your experience, over time you're gonna pop, right?
Yes, absolutely. So,
Um,
I'm just going to pull up my
some other
notes.
ways I deal with it is exercise. Um, Sleep helps a lot. Little things like that, yeah.
Uh, I always like to call our brain a big ball of fat, big ball of dumb fat that lives inside of our skulls. It is not smart. Um, we do smart thing with brain, brain do dumb thing to body. Stress. You need to stay awake. You must remain ever vigilant. Your body, bro, I really need to sleep. I'm so tired. Your brain's
Mhm.
just like, no, we have to stay awake. We need to stay focused. And staying awake just makes things worse and worse. It makes it so that you can't do things. You'd think that your brain would be like, oh, we're stressed. We should we should sleep for a normal amount of time so that we can feel good. But the stress is an anxiety response, or it's a fear response. So it keeps us up.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so, yes, stress is the biological, physical reactions that happens inside of us. Anxiety is the internal reaction of worry, fear, dread. There's no clear cause to anxiety, whereas stress is like, no, it's my boss. And anxiety is the
Hmm.
coping mechanism that your brain uses in order to be like, hey, life is so stressful. What if we made a whole neurological pattern about this? Just really
Do you
did.
think that that
Huh?
comes from, sorry.
Yeah, no, no, go for it.
Well, I was wondering if that can come from that over time not properly processing, and especially like if your childhood, you've got all these stressful things and you're kind of put into that environment and you don't get that chance to process, then over time it seems like it's out of nowhere, but if you take time to decompact it, like that's kind of how I treat my therapy is taking time to think about things that were, I mean, it could have happened in the last week, but I eventually want to get to the things that happened when I was younger.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So yes, I agree with what you said. And I do believe that that is a major component to that. So, if you continually get stressed and stress is always happening, why wouldn't you create a shortcut in your brain so to activate that stuff? Why wouldn't your brain do that?
Mm,
That's the smartest thing. It's pattern recognition. uh,
mm.
and it just you keep ingraining it. Life continues to be stressful. You know, and
Oh, I think I get what you're saying
mhm.
though, as far as like the stress is something we know currently and the anxiety is the unknown in the future.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, anxiety is the worries taking over.
Okay.
It extends out beyond what is like physically present right now. And like, oh, you're stressed about something that you have to do like later this week, but like that's an actual task that you have to get done. The anxiety is the different forms of like bad coping that you sort of have around that, where you create all of these different plans, all of these different problems. You're like, oh, things always come up, so something is going to come up, so I should be ready for the inevitable bad thing that's going to happen.
Mm.
If you were constantly undergoing stress when you were a child while dumb brain still forming, then your brain is going to have enough pattern recognition there to know that it should be anxious all the time. This is how we survive. Life is random and terrifying. So we should always be in a preparatory stage to respond to the things around us, because life isn't going to allow us to decompress.
Yeah.
That was the saddest, yeah.
I wonder if a lot of that can be, well, I just think of the how there can be an interplay of like lack of community to a certain extent, or like a lack of trust in your community, because you would think that okay, I can't stay awake all the time, and when I go to sleep, yeah, there could be a threat, there could be that tiger in the jungle that's going to attack me, but somebody else can stay awake and keep a lookout, and we
Yes.
trade off,
If
you know.
your parents aren't there for you when you're a kid, why the fuck would anybody else be there for you?
Yeah.
Sad. And this is why therapy is so important. This is what it can really help with. But if we're going to talk about like, okay, this is how you deal with anxiety. Anxiety, talk therapy can help a lot with. How do we help with stress though? Stress is what's like actively going on in your life right now. It's this,
Exposure.
yeah. So, well, yes, exposure, but also if you're feeling stressed, you're overwhelmed and you feel like there's a measure of like unpredictability to this thing. So what
Mhm.
can we do to kind of lighten that load? So first, I want to talk about the like basic things that we need to do every day of our life. We are physical people. We are in a body that has needs. If you are not meeting those needs, it is very difficult to respond to anything else. I swear to God, clean up your room. No. Drink water. Get a good night's sleep. Have food. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, Jordan Peterson.
Cleaning your room is secondary to this. Like, you have to make sure that you're getting your biological needs met. So, asking yourself, am I thirsty? Am I tired? Am I hungry? Did something earlier today make me upset? Then you'll know, like,
Mm.
that's what I have to do first, and then I can evaluate. Now, again, physical body. What do physical bodies need? They need movement. They need healthy kinds of stress. We have to get the stuff that's in our heads outside of us. So, exercise. If you're not exercising, you'll feel like you're going crazy because you're not going to be getting the like physical requirements that your body needs out. You're not using the thing that you are. Like a huge portion of who you are is your body. Great book, Body Keeps the Score. Can't recommend it any more than I already do. Talks all about PTSD and I mean, it kind of like CPTSD wasn't recognized at the time, and it's being recognized now, and I love that. But the Body Keeps the Score talks a lot about how your stressors, like if your back hurts, if your knees hurt, if you're getting migraines, if you feel nauseous, if you never feel hungry, these are all physiological responses to stress, and your body is trying to tell you that something is going on. So, by moving your body, by allowing yourself to move, by feeding yourself and taking care of yourself, the things that were stressing you out before will still stress you out, but they'll be so unbelievably much more manageable. I'm so boring. Yes, that's right. Diet and exercise are the key to solving all problems. If only it was that simple.
Community.
Yeah. So then there's the social aspect of us existing. We have to be able to trust the people around us. If you can barely trust yourself, you're not going to be able to trust others. It's it's hard. Uh, by educating ourselves, by being okay with being wrong, we can get closer and closer to that. We can help to. No one person can know everything, but there are things that people should be able to know. You know, there's just some basic stuff like cooking. Everybody should know how to cook. Uh, Making your bed, knowing what goes where. Just I'm talking like microscopic things. I'd like it if everybody knew how
Mm.
to change diapers. That'd be great. But like hyper specific things are for work. They're for, like you only need to get hyper specific when you're at work. The rest of the time, we're all generalists. We all get to know just these tiny little things, and they will help us get through. And we can trust the people that are around us. Some people are better at other things than we are. We are not islands. Man, if I was an island, I'd be fucking yeah, geothermal events all the time. Talk about stress. Turn to a volcano.
Hmm. What What do you think about like being able to communicate your needs? Like the idea of if you can trust yourself to communicate to other people, "Hey, I can't do this right now.
It's difficult.
Could you do it for me?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's really easy to be like, "Hey, I need help." Those words super easy to say. Barely a problem. I did it right now. I can imagine anybody just being like, "Hey, can you help me?" Emotionally, whoo. If we were better at trusting people around us, it'd be great. And by that I mean if our parents raised us to be able to trust people, and our parents were trustworthy people, I wouldn't have a job. Yeah, it like people would trust each other. They'd be able to ask for help, and I wouldn't have to I wouldn't have to walk somebody through their entire childhood so that they can have introspection onto why they don't ask for help and why they're so stressed now. Many hands make light work, but if you're just like, no, you can't, I'm the only one that knows how to do this, and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't ask me questions. Of course I know what I'm doing. It's like the old stereotype of like men not asking directions. They're like, I know where I'm going.
Yeah. Ugh.
Just gonna read through some of these comments. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh, the only thing that therapy could do for me was teaching me CBT, and I already knew it. That happens a lot.
Mm.
I feel like what I had does not match this description too much. It was something like already cemented anxiety patterns. There was virtually no uh, uh, conscious thing to it. It was overall psychological. Yeah, and that is anxiety, and all of those like cemented things. They didn't come out of nowhere. So those when it comes to long-term anxiety, this is also true for long-term depression, uh, and CBT isn't working for you, or like not just CBT, but like talk therapy isn't working for you, then there are other things that we can do to kind of get at the underlying physical structures of the brain. So you have things like brain spotting, EMDR therapy, that helps it by loosening focus or remaining hyper focused in certain and activating certain stimuli. So you have like a paddling each of your hands that's vibrating, or you're tapping back and forth, or you're listening to bilateral music. It activates both sides of your brain so that you're using more of it, and your brain will begin to pull up memories that were previously blocked, or that you hadn't processed out of yourself yet, and allow you to
Hmm.
allow that space to free, or allow that thing to free up space. Another thing is psychedelic or psychedelic psychotherapy. This increases, from all the literature, it increases neuroplasticity by tenfold. And so if you actually have like neurons that are like, they're not going anywhere, the anxiety is what it is, then we can go in there with chemicals and increase the neuroplasticity of the area and develop new patterns instead of having the old ones stick around. So it can help with a lot of like drug resistant, like if you have drug resistant anxiety or depression, it can help a lot with that. Addictions, be it process or chemical addictions.
Can we throw out there for the audience if you guys want to raise your hands and come up on the stage? I don't know,
Please.
it's your show,
Yeah,
but I
no,
didn't
no,
want
no.
to.
Please, if
Yeah.
anybody has a question, if they want to raise their hand, if they want to come up on stage, ask some questions, I am more than happy to hear. Thomas, do you have a
No, Thomas,
question?
not you.
Yeah, Thomas, get out of here. I'm doing the show with Casey
You're supposed
today.
to raise your hand first.
No raising hands.
Okay.
I do what I want. No, I'm just kidding. What's up?
How are you doing,
Hey.
Thomas?
I just woke up. I have absolutely just flabbergasted my sleep schedule into infinity.
How you tell me how you feel about stress and
Ooh,
how you cope with it.
well, for years when my bipolar first started, stress was almost uncontrollable. It was caused by school and just living and stuff. But now that I'm properly medicated and everything, I don't have as much stress. I'm on disability, so I don't have a big stressful life. But if I were to go to work and have stress, the best ways to handle it for me would probably be exercise, some meditation, a lot of introspection and metacognizance to realize where the stress is coming from, how am I dealing with it, what are the best ways to frame it, all that kind of stuff. There would also be ways to find ways to lessen the stress in my environment in some ways to work around to find some synergistic way to work with my environment in such a way that it causes me less stress. I'm sure there's many other things that I could do, but that's just my off the top of my head best way to deal with it.
Absolutely. Catch the stress before it turns into clinical anxiety.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, stress is a weird thing. You can't absolutely control your environment, and you can't
No.
absolutely control that you have stress.
No, you can't. And I so I'm going to bring up let's see, GHC in just a second. I do want to say this about stress because this is current research that we have is that our relationship with stress is if you believe that stress can be a good thing and is a natural biological function, then you are less likely to have the uh, long term physiological responses on your GI health. If you believe that stress is a bad thing and we ought not to ever feel stressed because it's bad and I hate it, then you are way more likely to have GI problems. So we have to consider our relationship with the concept of stress.
Wisely said.
Because some stress is fine. Exercise is stressful. Talking in
Mhm.
public can be stressful, but some stress is bad.
Mhm.
Bills.
Mhm.
All right.
Bills do suck pretty bad.
Hello and welcome. What kind of
Yo,
question do you have?
yeah, so I was wondering because when I said that therapy couldn't do much for me, I didn't mean to discredit therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that it helps probably most people who go to it. But what I was dealing with, which was induced by drug abuse,
Mm-hmm.
was just thoughts of death. So it had to do, you know, my whole body would go into shock out of nowhere. You start sweating profusely. You
Yep.
lose like track of what you're thinking. You start shaking. You
Yeah.
start hyperventilating and shit like that.
Sounds like a real panic
And
attack. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, an actual panic attack,
An actual
exactly.
panic attack. Yeah.
And yeah, and it got so bad at some point that was happening like every other day, and that's when I decided to go see a therapist. And sometimes it would happen like for like 1 hour. I think that was the worst I had, was like a whole hour of it happening. And in therapy, the only thing that they could prescribe me, quote unquote, this was also in the Netherlands, so they don't give you drugs lightly there. Was just CBT, so that they went over how CBT works and all that stuff. But in the end, I kind of I think I naively I think I grew out of it. So I think I did, like, broke the pattern, probably a bit thanks to CBT, but also just focusing on other things, like you were saying, trying to have a healthier lifestyle as well, I think helped a lot, especially moving. So like running stopped a lot of anxiety attacks
Yeah.
even before they happen. So I would also say that if you do have an anxiety problem with anxiety attacks, it gets to a point where you can actually see them coming, and you have like a window where you can sort of cancel them out. And I think I just learned how to do that, and then at some point they just stopped. But this is just a bit of background
Mm-hmm.
behind my experience with therapy, because at the end of the day, what I was talking about was just death, right? Like there's no way of you can go to the therapist and say, I hate my father because he doesn't listen to me, and then you can sort of figure out what to do about that. But if you go to a therapist and you say, yo, I'm gonna die, what the
Yeah.
fuck can you do about that, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
I
So
feel like I'm dying.
the actual question is, what what do you say to that in terms like something like Camus' absurdism, right? Like the absurd, the idea that we're all walking around and in a real sense you can just
Mm-hmm.
die, and that can cause anxiety. So
Yeah.
real things that cause real anxiety. Because to me that kind of, it feels like it pushes therapy a bit down, because it turns from being a solution to actually being a coping mechanism.
Yes.
But maybe you can maybe you can make a strong argument against that. Think.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Thank you. So when somebody comes to me with a worry um, about their physical existence on our mortal plane, uh, I love to talk to them about death because there's nothing we can do about it. Talk about the ultimate, like, I am powerless to stop this thing. And can become very easy to obsess over it because it's an ever-present thing in our life. Uh, so I don't want to disregard it, but also because there's nothing that we can do about it, there is no way to stop that thing. Engage.
May I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's 100% correct. I agree with Alex entirely. I, for 13 years, while I was having bipolar, literally thought about death from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. What is it? What is it like? What's after it? And even being a philosopher and a scientist, it's difficult to even because I have OCD, I can't stop thinking about it. But now that I'm on new medication, it's not that way anymore. But yeah, it can be pervasive and it's never going to go away. The big thing is to remember you have no control of it. It's going to happen and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Casey?
I I do want to push back a tiny bit because I think there are little ways that we could, as far as talking about it, normalizing that conversation,
Yes.
and certain little things like if you feel that it's to a point, I think there is that stress can tell us something like, oh, I should go talk with a lawyer about making a living will,
Yeah.
or I should be talking with my community about what I want to happen after I'm gone, where my things will go, things like that.
Yes. And that is exactly what I was actually about to say. Is like they're like
Yo.
when you start thinking about death, you go a little bit further, and like if death is making you afraid, afraid for what? If it's like, hey, I like, yeah, I'm afraid that I'm going to leave these people behind. Okay, what kind of steps do we need to take in order to make you feel a little bit better there? It turns out that this is actually life stressors causing you to hyperfixate on the death portion of this.
Mm-hmm.
If you are terrified about what comes after this whole event that is being alive, that is when I go more towards a like, okay, I am not saying don't think about it. I am saying we need to do something else right now because there aren't answers. There aren't answers to what happens after life. Uh there it is, I don't want to say it's a pointless conversation because I think that we should normalize kind of like understanding that we all die. But to obsess on that is it's kind of a fool's errand. We can't go, there's nothing we can do about it. So we have to find the enjoyment that we have while we're here. Our brains are now trying to obsess over death, the finalist of all things, this nebulous thing that we have no answer to. In order to and we're like, we have to solve this so I can feel some kind of power in my life. I because this thing is so the magnitude of this event that will happen to all of us eventually is so grand that there's nothing I can ever do about that. I can't accept that. So knowing your limitations, knowing your power, knowing your ability, these and being able to accept all of this stuff are things that we can work on in therapy. Things that you can work on in your day-to-day life is when something feels too big, break it down into pieces. If I have to get this done in a month, then I'm going to do this, and this done throughout the week.
Yeah.
Because
if somebody has,
Thomas?
I'm so sorry, I keep interrupting.
Cool. No, it's fine.
If somebody has OCD, like me, what would your best recommendation to be to stop the intrusive thoughts about death or the super racing thoughts about it?
Got them goddamn sticky gears happening to you. Stuck on single dots. I get it. I like to call them sticky gears. Yeah. They just keep getting stuck. It's like we're moving, and now we're just right here and we're stuck and it's not moving anymore. And so how do we grease that up so that it can go again, but then it gets stuck in that sticky part of the gear again. Best way is honestly, it is to pick up new and different hobbies. And when I say new and different, I mean shit that you have not done before. Because it takes way more cognitive effort to do something that you've never done before than it does to repeat the same things. So if you find yourself constantly overwhelmed with certain thoughts, even when you're doing activities that you enjoy, we need to find a new activity. Then all of your cognition will go towards that thing and it won't be engaging with that sticky gear anymore. Again, and I know I already said this, but psychedelic psychotherapy is absolutely fantastic for OCD. There's an OCD protocol to it. There's also an OCD protocol to brain spotting and EMDR that works very well. But
excellent.
Yeah, OCD is a coping strategy that your brain can create in order to help you create kind of power structures within your life. You're like, oh, I will mill over this thing forever with all of my mental power. That gives me power.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's a lie. OCD is a lie.
I know. I know.
CJ, here we go. Come on up.
Test.
Test. CJ, how are you doing?
I about as good as I can for someone who's about to go into exam week.
Heavy side. That like, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Yeah,
I
guess the reason I put
your brain.
my hand.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the reason I put my hand up is kind of because of college. I've got exams coming. I've got some final projects coming, and I don't know if it's anxiety, stress, or just laziness. Sometimes I look at these deadlines and I'm like, okay, I've got to get this done by this day, and I can even like write it in my journal. I'm going to do this day. I'll do this day, even at this time.
Yep.
And what happens so often is it just, well, no, I'll not do that, or I'll do that later. I'll do something else. And I'm wondering, like, it's weird because I have stress about the things that are coming up, and I have to do them. And it does kind of like, sometimes it is like physically painful. Not very often, but sometimes my head just crazy. And then I still don't do it. And I'm wondering, like, Is that like a universal experience?
Yes. Oh God, I love this in the chat. Deadlines were invented by the devil. Absolutely, they were. Deadlines are human-made things. They don't exist in nature most of the time. Well, I mean, you could argue for like crops, but no, we made this shit up.
Yeah,
So you're asking me how the fuck to kill the procrastination monster?
I suppose. Yeah.
Just stab it? Um, I wish it was a real thing, and then we could just throw it in the garbage. So procrastination is there. Okay. Okay. Great question. I'm going to talk a little bit about procrastination. I'm also going to talk about boredom because both of these things happen kind of at the same time. And tiredness. So when you are asked to do a task, you have a couple options. You could do it, or if it feels too big and you so like this is a huge thing, maybe we should just take a nap because we're gonna need all of our energy to do this huge task. So we could just sleep instead. Sounds great. Actually, you know what? I'll take a nap and then I can do the dishes because those really need to get done. I've really been meaning to do those things. We'll deal with this other task later. We definitely need to get to it, but there's a whole bunch of other things that are way smaller that are really just literally right in front of me that I could do instead of any of that stuff over there. So I'm just going to do that stuff instead of doing the, what were we talking about again? And then we can forget about it. Procrastination is very, very helpful to make us to keep our sanity, to not feel stressed. So we can push it to the edge of our mind and not deal with it. Unfortunately, it's self-fulfilling. It becomes more stressful because you're not dealing with it. Which makes your brain like, hey, let's just keep pushing it, push it as far as we can. And even worse, if you're really efficient as a person and you can type out like a 17-page paper like in 3 hours, your brain's like, hey, we don't have to worry. We absolutely can succeed by fucking up. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and then your brain is like, procrastination, perfect. Well, we're gonna keep that thing around forever. The only way to break the procrastination habit is like the worst thing ever. Your lists aren't small enough. The things that you told yourself that you have to do today are too big. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So are you saying like schedule less things in a day or
Uh,
schedule it in a way that it looks smaller?
Schedule it in a way that it looks smaller. Do not schedule less things in a day. If you think to yourself like, hey, I want to, like, if you're like, let's say you're like writing a book, and you're like, I want to write 5 pages a day. Be like, I want to write 1 page this morning. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna write 2 paragraphs instead of like, I'm gonna write 5 pages today. If you break those things down into smaller chunks, it feels a lot more manageable, depending on the person.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's kind of what I started doing lately and had a little bit more success is instead of writing, just do assignment, it's like, okay, here's the little steps that you can do and actually plotting it out like time slot by time slot instead of just do a thing.
Thomas is here for an argument. I love this. But yes, so it takes a very long time to break that habit of procrastination. Knowing yourself, knowing when, uh, like knowing what strategies, and please, 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 if something hasn't worked the last 30 fucking times you've done it, do not do it again. It isn't working. So,
You're telling me that if I get on Instagram right now instead of doing my
yep,
studying and
Yep.
projects,
yep.
it's gonna be like the last 200 times where I don't do anything?
No, it could be different this time. What if it is different this time?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's the word for me with my OCD. What if? What if? What if? What if? What if?
Yeah. What if this? What if that?
Yeah.
Trying to manage that stress. It's not good. But yeah, so good luck. Make that shit as absolutely small as you possibly can. Put those lists on there that are like, why did I write down get out of bed? I guess I can check that out. Well, I guess that feels good.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That I'll see.
Yeah.
Seems like it'll be helpful.
Yeah, make it make it manageable, because right now it doesn't feel manageable. So great question to ask yourself is like, how can I make this thing manageable? I know that I can do this, and I said that I would. So how do I get from A to B? Well, I just take this. I just jump off the building and then I land and then I'm fine. Or we could take the stairs.
Yeah, I had the worst realization the other day. I was walking towards school and I was like, okay, now I've got 30 minutes to do this thing. And I thought to myself, I was like, let's pretend it does only take me 30 minutes to do this and I actually get a good grade on it. Uh, so I'll do it in 30 minutes, turn it in on the deadline, and now I turned something that I gave myself like 6 hours for to do it in 30 minutes, like
Yeah.
6 hours with like taking breaks and stuff. And I thought to myself, and I was like, oh wow, if I do it in 30 minutes now, that'll mean I could have done this in 30 minutes 6 hours ago,
Yes, it does.
and I would have had 5.5 hours of not stressing and a finished assignment and an A.
And then you can beat yourself up about it, feel shame, feel guilt, and never actually do that thing because you have too much shame and guilt around having not done it before. Quite the double bind.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
I'll try to keep a
yeah,
I'll try to keep a better perspective on it. Thank you.
awesome. I got like 10 more minutes. Then I have to go get blood drawn. That's gonna be really fun. Thomas, my butt is ready for your argument.
I'm just being a dick. I'm just finding counter arguments to everything being a dick.
Yeah, okay. Come on, man.
I'm such a troll.
Fucking OCD is not about power. It's about minimizing the amount of stress and anxiety that you have, which is also like stress and anxiety. Definitely not about power.
Okay. Good man.
I love this. I love this argument. It's absolutely fantastic.
I love it too. No, I mean like OCD still plagues me, but it's nothing like it used to be. So I don't have a problem with the intrusive and racing thoughts as much anymore. Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, God's great, you know? We should really talk about
yeah,
that sometime.
yeah. Thank you, Jesus.
Whoa.
Why would you trigger me?
I'm not talking about Jesus.
We're talking about Cheez-Its?
I'm talking
How
about...
about this? I'll thank Nivik. Thank you, Nivik.
Thank you, Nivik. Thank you, Nivik, for being here. I appreciate you.
I worship you. You are above me.
We all have Nivik inside of us.
Yes.
Nivik-like qualities. But yeah, that is stress and anxiety. It's not fun. It sucks. It is there to tell you that something is going wrong. It wants you to become aware of something. All you have to do is listen to it. It is very difficult to listen to, but man, it's like It's anxiety and stress are so overwhelming that you can't ignore them. There might be some evolutionarily beneficial thing there to making it so that you can't ignore your own self when things are getting bad. We did this to ourselves. We have only ourselves. Well, I guess we can blame our ancestors. Whatever. That's why you feel like garbage. It's your great 17 greats grandfather that was like, I'm so aware of my own fear of snakes that I'm gonna stay out of that area over there. It's that dude's fault that you don't like
I'm going to take it
homework.
further. It's the amoebas. They had that stress response of trying to get away from their predators.
You're right.
That little instinct.
We've been here the
They should
whole.
have just died.
Yeah. If they've just died and life had never happened, then we would never have anxiety or stress.
Thanks a lot, self-replicating molecules.
Yeah. Wow. Biology. How dare math be
What a
mathin'?
waste. What a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Blame the saber-toothed tigers. You know. It's all of that stuff. But if you can have a healthy relationship with your stress, if you can have a healthy relationship, understand that these are warning signs going off in your head, that they are trying to tell you something about something, listen to them, figure out how to make that stressor a manageable task. It'll be a lot easier. If you feel like you can't make it a manageable task, guess what? There's 3 of us up on this stage right now. You have friends. There are other people in your life. You can lean on those people. You can trust them. They will help you. And you will stop freaking out later and making their lives and your own worse.
Amen.
Yeah. Next week,
Amen.
I'm going to talk about the difference between a coping mechanism and a coping strategy. I'm just going to continue this long line of fucking conversation and huff a shitload of copium in front of everybody.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Ready.